Christmas Eve 2023 was meant to be a night of family gatherings in Brown's Steakhouse, the restaurant busy with diners, when two masked gunmen walked in and opened fire. Their intended target was Jason Hennessy, a crime boss with deep ties to Dublin's underworld, but the hit did not unfold as planned. One of the weapons jammed, creating a moment of confusion that allowed Hennessy's associates to fight back. By the time the shooting stopped, one of the attackers was dead and Hennessy critically wounded. Who ordered this audacious attack? And how did it ignite one of West Dublin's deadliest feuds? Welcome to Crime Pulse, where we dig into the cases that scar Ireland and Britain's communities, exposing the power struggles, betrayals, and bloodshed at the heart of gangland life. If you're new here, please subscribe to join our pursuit that uncover the hidden truths of the underworld. Your support ensures we can keep delivering these tales straight to your feed with every new video. Thank you for standing with us. Long before his name was tied to gangland headlines, Jason Hennessy was just another lad from Corduff, a Blanchardstown estate with its own scars. The 1980s hit the area hard. Factories closed, jobs disappeared, and heroin tore through the working-class estates, leaving families struggling to hold themselves together. Jason Hennessy, a gifted boxer with a fierce jab and a quick step, earned respect in local gyms, his name whispered as a lad with potential to go pro. Unlike many of his peers, he kept his nose clean, dodging the criminal life many around him. His home sat in the shadow of Dublin's underworld, where the notorious Westies gang ran the drug trade through the late 90s and early 2000s. These were vicious operators, feared across the city for kneecapping rivals and leaving bodies in their wake. By 2004, the Westies' reign was unraveling. Their leaders, Shane Coates and Stephen Sugg, met a bloody end in Spain, gunned down in a savage gang war that sent shockwaves through Dublin's criminal circles. Jason had mates and even family tied to the crews that scrambled to fill the power vacuum left behind, but he stayed clear of the chaos. For years, he lived a quiet life, working honest jobs, driving trucks, hauling goods across Ireland. He was a man who could have been just another face in Corduff, blending into the estate's daily grind. But as the years passed, whispers of his name grew louder, not for his punches in the ring, but for a darker kind of clout. The street's pull was strong, and by his 30s, Jason was stepping into a world he'd once avoided, one where respect was earned with fear, not fists. But how did a lad from Corduff, once tipped for boxing glory, become a feared name in Dublin's underworld, with enemies circling and a target on his back? By his 30s, Jason Hennessy had become a name to reckon with in Dublin 15's shadowy underworld. In Corduff, where the streets never forgot a slight, he was carving out a fearsome reputation. Yet, to the untrained eye, he was just another local lad done good. Married with a brood of kids, he played the part of a devoted family man, doting on his children and cheering at their football matches. To keep up appearances, he launched Hulk Recovery, a towing and repair outfit, its green Incredible Hulk logo splashed across his trucks. But that was just the surface. Beneath it, Jason was neck-deep in the drug trade, running a gritty, if less polished operation compared to Dublin's bigger players. While not as slick as the Kinahan cartel, his deals raked in serious cash, enough to cement his grip on Corduff's streets. Some whispered he'd started out in nearby Finglas, but those who knew him best pinned his roots firmly in Corduff. But cross Jason, and you'd see the other side of the man. Beneath the charming smile lurked a ruthless operator. Word on the street told of a low-level dealer who pinched from him, only to be found one night, battered and bloodied, duct taped to a lamppost in Corduff as a grim warning. Stories like these, whispered in pubs, never reported to the Garden, cemented his legend. By the 2000s, young wannabe gangsters in West Dublin idolized him, seeing him as untouchable. With cash flowing, loyal foot soldiers at his beck and call, and not a single serious run-in with the law, Jason seemed invincible. But power breeds enemies. In nearby Finglas, a new breed of gangsters was rising, their eyes locked on his turf, ready to challenge the kingpin of Corduff. Already solidified in Blanchardstown's dodgy drug trade, locals dubbed him the Boss or Boss Man, a name he wore like a badge, earned through years of keeping the area's dealers in line. On these rough streets, where every drug deal was a roll of the dice, you played by Hennessy's rules. Want to flog gear on his patch? You'd slip him a cut of the profits, no questions asked. Word on the street was clear: cross Hennessy and you'd regret it quick. His tow truck business, Hulk Recovery, with its bold green Hulk logo, gave him a legit front, but everyone in the know understood it was a cover for the dirty cash flowing through his hands. His crew, the Hennessy gang, was a proper family affair, built on blood ties and unbreakable loyalty. His sons, hitting their teens, were being schooled in the game, kept tight under his wing. He loved them and wanted them to have everything, except perhaps an honest living. But across West Dublin, a fresh threat was brewing in Finglas. Flashy ran the Gucci Gang, a mob infamous for strutting in top-shelf labels like Gucci and Louis Vuitton, flashing their bling and luxury whips on social media. Their opulent lifestyle screamed big money, bankrolled by tight links to the international Kinahan cartel, the heavy hitters who'd been waging war with the Hutch mob. On top of that, Flashy's outfit was seen as a revival of the old Westies, those ruthless fingerless enforcers from the 90s who'd ruled with iron fists and kneecappings before their bosses got whacked in Spain. While Jason Hennessy kept his operation firmly local, dominating Corduff's working-class estates through hands-on street-level drug dealing and old-school intimidation tactics, like roughing up dealers who stepped out of line, the Gucci Gang under Mr. Flashy was playing a whole different game on a much grander scale. They were allegedly hauling in massive shipments of drugs from international suppliers, cleverly laundering their profits through glitzy fronts such as high-end car dealerships and luxury clothing shops that doubled as money-washing hubs, all while throwing their weight behind the powerful Kinahan cartel in some of Dublin's most savage and high-profile gang wars that had the city on edge for years. With both outfits hungry for dominance in West Dublin's highly profitable drug market, where millions were up for grabs in cocaine, heroin, and weed distribution, a head-on collision was always on the cards, no matter how hard they tried to avoid it. Word spread through the pubs and back alleys about a high-stakes tense sit-down between Hennessy himself and Mr. Flashy's trusted top brass, where they attempted to sketch out invisible boundaries on a map of the streets. Blanchardstown would remain Hennessy's territory, while Finglas stayed locked down as the Gucci lad's stronghold. But if that fragile underworld agreement ever really took hold, it shattered in no time at all, dissolving into a sea of mistrust and leaving deep-seated bad blood to boil over unchecked. By 2017, the undercurrents of conflict were rippling through Corduff's concrete estates. Hennessy's crew, determined to protect their grip on Blanchardstown's drug trade, began targeting Gucci gang dealers who dared cross into their territory. Underworld sources reported a string of vicious beatings in 2018, with one young dealer left bloodied outside a Corduff pub as a public warning. Hennessy's men were flexing their muscle, sending a clear message: this was their domain and trespassers would pay. What followed was dubbed the Corduff Feud, a violent saga that echoed the city's infamous Hutch-Kinahan War. Garda, privy to the rising tensions through covert intelligence, braced for chaos, with senior officers warning that the feud could spiral out of control. Their fears were realized by 2019 as the conflict erupted into a relentless wave of violence. Drive-by shootings riddled rival homes with bullets, cars were torched in midnight arsons, and associates' families faced brutal assaults. Hennessy's crew, rooted in their tight-knit family structure, aimed to crush Flashy's expansion, while the Gucci gang, armed with Kinahan-supplied weapons like military-grade grenades, struck back with ruthless precision. This escalating war set West Dublin ablaze. The Corduff feud, already a smouldering powder keg, ignited with ferocious intensity in 2019, turning West Dublin streets into a battleground. On a crisp February morning, CCTV footage captured a chilling spectacle in Corduff, a brazen daylight shootout on a quiet residential cul-de-sac. Grainy images, later splashed across, showed young gunmen ducking behind parked cars as gunfire erupted, bullets peppering the walls of nearby homes. Miraculously, no one was struck, but the pockmarked houses stood as a stark testament to the feud's reckless violence, terrifying residents caught in the crossfire. As winter forward into spring, the tit-for-tat attacks escalated with alarming regularity, transforming parts of Finglas and Blanchardstown into near-war zones. Arson attacks left cars smoldering in driveways, savage beatings sent dealers to hospital wards, and drive-by shootings rattled neighborhoods, becoming grimly routine. In March, the feud took a vicious turn when two innocent women, believed to be partners of gang members, were brutally assaulted in a targeted attack. Left bruised and traumatized, their ordeal underscored the feud's expanding reach, sparing neither bystanders nor families. The most shocking incident unfolded on April 2nd, 2019, outside a West Dublin secondary school, teeming with 300 students. Two men were waiting at the gates to collect a relative when a gunman suddenly approached and opened fire. No one was injured, but the attacker fled on foot into the nearby Corduff estate. Garda launched immediate searches, flooding the area with officers as the community reeled from yet another act of gang violence. The audacity of the attack, near children in broad daylight, sent shockwaves through the community. Investigators later recovered a loaded handgun stashed mere yards from the scene, allegedly tied to Flashy's Gucci Gang. Garda confirmed the incident as the latest in a string of gun attacks, pinning the violence on the Corduff feud's battle for control of West Dublin's lucrative drug trade, pitting Hennessy's Blanchardstown empire against Flashy's Kinahan-backed Finglas crew. By spring's end, the feud's relentless cycle of retribution had cemented its place as one of Dublin's most dangerous gangland wars. As the Corduff feud simmered into 2021 and 2022, its ferocity waned but never vanished. Both the Hennessy gang and Mr. Flashy's Gucci Gang felt the weight of relentless Garda surveillance, with each violent incident triggering swift arrests and seizures, making open warfare increasingly costly and perilous. Underworld whispers hinted at an unspoken truce by 2022, as both sides seemed to pause their overt hostilities, perhaps wary of law enforcement's tightening grip. Yet beneath the surface, grudges festered, and the fragile peace masked a simmering vendetta ready to boil over. In this charged atmosphere, a dramatic Garda operation unfolded in mid-2023, shattering the illusion of calm. Acting on precise intelligence, officers intercepted a car on Dublin's north side, uncovering a loaded revolver inside, a weapon believed intended for a hit on Jason Hennessy's associates. The foiled assassination attempt underscored the feud's lingering threat, yet Hennessy, the defiant boss man, refused to cower. Unfazed by the target on his back, he carried on as if untouchable, running Hulk recovery and frequenting his usual West Dublin haunts. Having weathered 5 years of gangland chaos, Hennessy stood tall, his confidence unshaken. As Christmas 2023 approached, he planned a lavish celebration at Brown's Steakhouse, unaware that the feud's deadly undercurrents were about to erupt in a brutal ambush. On Christmas Eve 2023, Jason Hennessy hosted a private party as planned at Brown's Steakhouse in Blanchardstown, a festive gathering of family and loyal associates. Then at around 8 p.m., as laughter and clinking glasses filled the air, two masked gunmen stormed the restaurant, armed with handguns and a submachine pistol. One attacker, later identified as 26-year-old Gucci Gang associate Tristan Sherry, unleashed a barrage of bullets across the dining area, sending patrons scrambling under tables amid screams of terror. Hennessy, seated prominently at his party's table, was the clear target. Sherry advanced, firing with intent. Bullets ripped into Hennessy's neck and torso, leaving him slumped and bleeding. Some witnesses later claimed Hennessy, ever defiant, stood to confront Sherry as the shooting began, possibly attempting to shield others or disarm the gunman, though the truth of that fleeting moment remains locked with those present. In a chaotic twist, Sherry's submachine gun jammed, halting his assault. Seizing the moment, Hennessy's associates pounced, tackling the gunman to the ground. The second shooter, whose identity remains unknown, fled through the front entrance. Overwhelmed, Sherry faced a ferocious retaliation. Hennessy's men, fueled by rage, beat and stabbed him with steak knives grabbed from tables, bludgeoning him with chairs and other objects. By the time the attack subsided, Sherry lay dead, his body allegedly bearing 27 stab wounds and fatal blunt force trauma to the head. Police arrived minutes later to a scene of carnage while medics battled to stabilize Hennessy, who was barely clinging to life, before rushing him under armed escort to a hospital. Later transferred to the Mater Hospital for specialized care, he was placed on life support. Despite multiple surgeries, the severity of his wounds, particularly the neck injury, proved insurmountable. On January 5th, 2024, Jason Hennessy, aged 47, succumbed to his injuries, his death officially attributed to gunshot wounds to the neck and upper torso, marking another casualty in Ireland's brutal gangland wars. Back at the Steakhouse, Gardaí secured the scene, collecting CCTV footage and witness statements, later confirming the attack as a targeted hit tied to the Corduff feud. What followed was a dual investigation into a night that would change West Dublin's underworld forever. The Christmas Eve massacre at Brown's Steakhouse thrust Garda into two high-stakes investigations: the murder of Jason Hennessy and the brutal killing of Tristan Sherry. The probe into Hennessy's shooting zeroed in on identifying the second gunman, who had vanished into the night, and uncovering any masterminds orchestrating the hit. Suspicion quickly fell on Flashy's Gucci Gang, with underworld rumors suggesting Sherry and his accomplice were hired or coerced as part of a broader plot to eliminate Hennessy. Despite intensive efforts, no arrests were made in Hennessy's case in the immediate aftermath, and the identity of the second shooter remained elusive, allegedly leaving his murder unsolved. In contrast, the investigation into Tristan Sherry's death moved swiftly, fueled by a wealth of evidence from the chaotic scene. The Steakhouse, packed with witnesses and monitored by CCTV, provided clear footage of the attack. Garda identified several of Hennessy's associates, those who had stabbed and beaten Sherry, on the spot. Some, injured by shattered glass in the melee, were treated and promptly arrested that night. Within days, 7 suspects from the Corduff area, including 3 teenagers and men in their 20s, were in custody. Among them was Hennessy's youngest son, Brandon, charged with violent disorder rather than murder, with video evidence showing him striking Sherry with a lightweight dustpan after the gunman was disarmed. Others, including Michael Andret, Noah Musui, David Amar, and later Wayne Deegan, faced graver accusations for delivering the fatal blows, bringing the total charged in Sherry's death to 8. Given the Gangland context, the cases were brought before Ireland's Special Criminal Court, a non-jury tribunal designed to counter jury intimidation in organised crime trials. Court proceedings revealed the ferocity of Sherry's killing. Andret allegedly stabbed him multiple times with a knife, beat him with an iron bar, and chillingly paused to photograph the dying gunman. Amar, only 17, was seen stomping on Sherry and wielding a chair as a weapon. The prosecution painted the assault as a calculated, sustained attack, countering defense claims of manslaughter driven by the shock of Hennessy's shooting. The judges agreed, and in February 2025, Andret, Musui, and Amar were convicted of Sherry's murder in a unanimous ruling. Brandon Hennessy and Jonas Kabangu received lesser convictions for violent disorder, reflecting their roles in the chaotic retribution. The legal fallout marked a significant blow to Hennessy's crew, while the unresolved mystery of his own killing left West Dublin's underworld simmering with tension. With Jason Hennessy's death, the once formidable Hennessy gang began to unravel, its strength sapped without its charismatic boss man at the helm. His eldest sons, Jason Jr. and Devon, scrambled to fill the void, but their efforts were hampered by relentless Garda scrutiny. Law enforcement seized the moment to dismantle the gang's remnants, capitalizing on its weakened state. In January 2024, just weeks after Hennessy's death, Garda E delivered a crippling blow, raiding a hidden stash on a Blanchardstown wasteland. The operation uncovered 2 revolvers and 33,000 euros worth of drugs, a haul described as a devastating setback for the Hennessy crew's operations. On the streets of Corduff and Finglas, tension hung heavy in the air. Whispers of vengeance circulated, with the reports that Hennessy's loyalists were scouring social media, hunting for anyone linked to Tristan Sherry to mark them for a retaliation. Yet, no major reprisals materialized. The gang's key players, including those capable of orchestrating revenge, were either behind bars, caught in the legal fallout of Sherry's killing, or under such intense police surveillance that bold moves became impossible. The Hennessy gang, once a feared family empire, was crumbling under the weight of its leader's absence and the Garda's unyielding pressure, leaving West Dublin's underworld poised for a new chapter of uncertainty. In mid-January 2024, Jason Hennessy's funeral loomed as a potential flashpoint, with Garda bracing for violence amid the volatile Corduff feud. Armed officers patrolled discreetly around the Corduff church and surrounding streets, eyes sharp for rival gang members. The Hennessy family paid tribute to their patriarch with an incredible Hulk-themed cortege, reflecting his Hulk recovery business and larger-than-life persona. His custom coffin, painted vibrant green with a Hulk fist emblem and emblazoned with the Boss Man, rolled through Blanchardstown, drawing crowds and media attention as a final salute to the fallen crime lord. In the months that followed, the Hennessy gang's collapse accelerated. Jason Jr., Devon, and Brandon Hennessy, desperate to maintain their father's legacy, found themselves ensnared in a major Garda crackdown. In a sweeping operation, all remaining brothers, along with 2 associates, were arrested for an alleged kidnapping and torture plot in West Dublin. Prosecutors claimed the group had imprisoned a man over a gang-related dispute, subjecting him to a brutal ordeal. The victim's escape led to swift Garda intervention, resulting in charges against the brothers and their accomplices. This high-profile case, reported widely, marked the final unraveling of the Hennessy empire, as the family's grip on Corduff's underworld disintegrated under legal and law enforcement pressure. For more gripping tales from Dublin's gangland wars and the latest updates, subscribe to Crime Pulse on YouTube, hit the bell icon for the latest updates, and comment your opinions below to join the conversation.